tell my friends stand by me only if I'm right. I come out of triple darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they want me, I ain't going out without a fight. In my dreams, I'm a killer, but for God, man. Try to play it cool, but it's getting hard, man. Rolling with the real and death to all the frauds, man. Not too many on me, yeah, it's kinda hard, man. In my room, sitting in my room. Know they waiting on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera acting, I'ma show them how I true.
We done heard old women say, yeah, I know old Bobby Earl got a woman across town, but he better not bring it to my house. Don't keep it out my face. Don't bring that to my front door.
That's the unprincipled piece you talking about?
That's the unprincipled piece I'm talking about.
And don't embarrass me.
Yeah, that's
Did old girl and fences? Did old girl and fences
You
know
talking
that?
about good woman now? You know, that ain't no.
Back again, fellas. You know, B2M Crew Podcast, fellas. We're chopping it up on another thing. We got a good one going on today, man. I got something for y'all. Y'all ready?
Hey,
Y'all
thank
ready?
y'all for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button.
Like,
Appreciate
subscribe, comment,
Repost,
We
share.
appreciate everyone that's been watching. We really do appreciate your
thank you.
support. We launched this
Thank you.
dream over a year ago, man, and it's been a joy to us. Whether it's 8 million people watching or 8, it's just been a joy, man. So, and
For sure.
Facts.
hopefully you see us developing and growing and continue to provide you all some good content. So, and once again, shout out to the Code Building in downtown Charlottesville, the Center for Entrepreneurs, with wonderful co-working space, wonderful facility. We are so happy to be in that space filming the podcast. Now, we got this thing going on in our community, man, when typically, and I'm not making this a gender issue, but this, most time when I see it, it's a mother dealing with a son in most cases. And I'm sure it's fathers too, but the example I'm having is a mother and a son. A son was stealing cars. He was jacking cars. And ultimately, to make a long story short, he ended up getting caught, and the mother was willing to give herself up as being partly responsible for a couple of the situations. Later to find out she wasn't.
Oh.
Out there investigating. So she was willing to like
Like she
take
was
some heat
aid
for
in the
him.
betting, like she was assistant.
And when they asked her, this is the news story, when they asked her why she did it, her comment was, I don't know why they ask these people stuff like that sometimes. Her comment was, that's my baby, and I would do anything to support my baby. And that was in the context of a crime. Most of the time it's not. It's just in the context of some other thing that could be harmful or detrimental. But when is the line drawn when it comes to supporting your child or letting them feel the consequence or discomfort that just comes through the vicissitudes of life?
Not the vicissitude.
The vicissitude.
Damn.
What's that?
James gonna read it?
Vicissitude.
James, look it up.
The trials and the vicissitudes, all the
James
struggles.
didn't know how to spell it, so he ain't look it up.
Vicissitudes, VI
VISCI.
something.
Hey, look. But yeah, the struggles and the ups and downs, the rigmarole of life, man.
Hey man, day one when they babies, I always start from the beginning to the end, right? Hey, you crawl before you walk. You let them fall. You let them get dirty, but you keep them out of danger. You know, you still keep parameters around them. And so I guess you have to translate that into that preteen, teenage, right, years until adult. So how much do you allow them to fall? What parameters? The parameters are gone, right? You don't keep them in the playpen. You don't keep them in a certain room. And we always looking out for our kids, right? And I guess part of it, I want my kids to learn. And sometimes you got to feel that fire burn, right? Without them burning up completely. But you got to get burned sometimes. You got to feel it yourself. And hopefully they can learn that lesson early so they don't have to learn it later on in life. And then you got the issue of being black in America, right? Where society is going to treat you a certain way anyway. And so now sometimes you feel like you got to protect them from an unfair system, right? And even if you show true and sincere remorse here at home, maybe I go the extra mile to protect you from them because I know they don't love you and I know they don't care about you. But if you off track and something is really wrong with you, I might have to let the system take care of you. You know?
System?
Hey, if you really, if you really that
That's
out of,
big.
yeah, if you really that out of track and you show zero remorse,
Okay.
whatever you did, you know what I mean. So sometimes,
Is there some age on that?
it's age. Oh yeah. Obviously, the older you are, right? The
I don't know. Some of them start early and young, where they cold-hearted.
Yeah.
But before we get,
Super
But you
predator.
can't put a 9-year-old out, bro. I mean,
but when we,
Put a
when we
9-year-old
before we
out.
get too far into it, I just want to know if y'all ever felt like when they were younger and smaller, I almost felt like the mother, it was like, oh, you know what I'm saying, like wanting to be too careful for them not to hurt themselves. You know what I mean? In the beginning,
Yeah.
when they're kind of young, and it's like very
Protected.
protective and
Mother.
as well as being alert and like, hey, what, you know, as far as like not letting them, you know, just roam off.
But that's
Right.
okay and that's natural, though.
And I was
right?
just- no, but I was
And
just
that's
saying,
the
but
balance
they
between
also
us.
the
It
first
seemed like
person to
that seemed
spank
like
them.
something
Yeah.
for the mothers or whatever that would feel that way, and I felt as
But
a
you was
father that
doing it.
yeah, that I was like, am I being too protective and too careful?
Well, I always say the first one you be protected, the second one hell with them.
But what's interesting though, you said the baby thing, because if you had a child that was breastfed and they was biting the mama's breast, they was tapping them. I'm talking about like infants, not. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's a practice, right? To teach them you're biting, you're not latching right or whatever, right? And so that to me, that's like.
Wow.
I'm gonna let you
Yeah, I
feel
wasn't
this. You need to
familiar
feel this because that's back to our thing about the animal response, right?
Right.
Like because they can't reason. If I feel that, it'll keep me away. You know what I'm saying? And so, I do think. To me, it boils down to what is your ethics and values as a parent. What are your ethics and values?
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because my support stops when you cross my ethics and values standard.
Okay.
When I say it stops, it shifts from all out, all in support to I'm not gonna compromise my principles and my relationship with God over what you're doing.
But what about what John said? You know, if I think you genuinely sorry, I might compromise and protect you because I know what the system gonna do to you. What about what he just said? Have y'all seen
We
that
talk
show?
what type of consequence?
It's a show called Your Honor. Have y'all seen that
Oh
show?
my gosh.
That's dope, ain't it?
Oh my
You know
God.
James.
All right,
Yeah, I know he's seen it.
30
Right?
second synopsis. 30 second synopsis.
Wait, yeah, you tell it. 30
All
seconds
right,
enough.
it's a judge in a small parish in Louisiana or what have you, right?
It's a sister that's a judge.
White man.
Oh,
No,
okay.
My
Six
man
wrong
Brian
show.
Cranston.
Okay.
65-year-old white man.
Yes.
Okay.
So you know he's real. He seems to be a pretty decent judge with regards to trying to be impartial with regards to the law and
Being
understanding.
fair to black folks.
Yeah. Yes. So what happens is his son, who what was he about high school, right? I think maybe a senior in high school or something like
Yeah.
that. His son, something happened to his mother in this area, you know, where you know mostly black, predominantly black area. Something happened to his mother that and he would go there and like give honor and tribute to her, and then the brothers, you know, just smashed the picture and kind of disrespected the old boy. He panicked and was driving off and in his little inhaler or whatever, and he hit this other young boy who you know on a motorcycle. It was a hit and run piece. He tried to say, you know, call 911, panic, but tried to save him, And it turns out that the kid that he hit and killed in hit and run was a mobster. I mean, the son of a mobster locally. And so the judge was like, you know, okay, what happened, you know. He was going to say, son, you know, you need to turn yourself in, blah, blah, blah. He gets down to the station and sees that it was the son of this mobster, and he's like, shoot. You know, he backed away from that and just basically tried to protect his
Okay.
son. His
The
son.
first, all right, so then what I would respond to that, I would say,
And then there's the whole show.
I would say that the
Right.
first
It's a whole
law
show.
of
It's not
nature,
real. It's just,
the
a
first
TV
law of
show.
nature
TV
is
show.
self-preservation.
Right.
So if I have to preserve his life, it's, you know, then I gotta talk about and ask God for some forgiveness, or either God gonna have to sanction what I'm doing in the interest of me saving his life. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Because
So
that
really
is
depends.
exactly what it was.
Right.
When the
'Cause if I
judge
think- 'cause
got
not
down
only is
there,
the mob gonna kill. Now I'm ready for him in that situation. The judge is like, look, I'm ready for you to go to court, do a couple years, but this man's gonna kill the whole family.
yeah, that's right. That's exactly
You
right.
see what I'm saying? And
That's
now,
right.
now we got something else going on besides what happened with you. Now
Yep.
we got some enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's
so,
real.
So now I'm in warrior mode.
But all the things he had to
And
do
I
to try
might
to
be the
try to
one-
protect that and cover
Was
he
a constant violation
Yes.
of all his ethics
you
and
have
of
values.
all of that.
Once
And
you in it, you in it.
And the whole show, the whole series is him constantly compromised. One
listen,
lie leads to 10 more, leads to.
Let me
leads
tell you
to him
something.
just
In a
doing
Great
stuff.
show.
that-
Anybody want to watch
and I
it? Your
gotta
Honor.
say it, but look, in a situation like that, this is where Nuevo Black is. I'm gonna tell you something, man. Look, only thing you can do in the same way I pray that nobody run up in my house with bad intentions. I pray that don't visit me.
Yeah.
I pray that scenario don't visit me.
Make that
But if it do, I just got chose for that, but I gotta perform. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because if my family on the line, I hate to get chosen for that.
Yeah.
But I might have to sacrifice my life in order to stand on the ultimate principles I believe in. You know?
right.
So,
That's
but I
real.
guess, but now to the point though, that's what everybody think they're doing with these little situations we talking about.
Yeah, that's an
Right.
extreme
You see what I'm
situation.
saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Or in a drastic situation, in the Emmett Till situation, when the Klan showed up to get him, and they turned him over.
Please, why did you? Don't ask
I'm
me.
just saying, don't ask you. You know, that's
I think-
like
I
you
think
said,
that
you
era,
nobody want to
if
be
you
chose
live-
for that.
If nobody want to get chose for that,
Yeah.
but if they knock on your door and that's the situation, I'm a deflect because in the way I'm a deflect by saying, but that was 1954. I know it can happen, but now everybody expects some type of because now the police coming in and doing some foul stuff, but it's not a mob coming around your house gathering you
To
up.
lynch everybody.
But still, man, do you give your child up? Can you answer that question?
Yeah, I can answer.
What's your answer?
Nah, we all got to die.
We gotta die.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all got to die in
Yeah.
honor. We all, it's certain principles and values that that just can't be compromised. And there may come a moment in time in all of our lives where we are faced with a decision like that, where we are chosen.
Yeah.
And you have to decide. I believe you. It's easy to say what you would do, when you're not faced with that scenario.
Yeah.
Right.
It's easy. So I don't want to be hypocritical when
Let
talking
me say,
about
when
it.
I say I'm going into warrior mode, I hope that's my
I go into
response,
warrior
and I'm
mode.
really good.
Yeah.
Because there's this thing, man, that in education, man, everything is about. There's this book by Sister Dr. Zaretta Hammond. It's called Implicit Bias in the Brain, right? It's really a book about CRT, which is culturally responsive
Yeah.
teaching. We talked about that, but basically though, but what she approaches it from science of the brain, right? And so what that's called is that whole flight response is called an amygdala hijack. It's called an amygdala hijack.
But that's a part of the brain,
It's
right?
a
The
chemical
amygdala,
response,
the amygdala,
right?
Mhm.
That releases cortisol into your body, right? And so when you are presented with these situations, we are presented with them every day in different levels and forms. You don't know when that chemical hit. That's why what they tell you to do, and they're telling us in education because children are coming to classes and they're being hijacked because people from other cultures don't understand and can't connect with them. So you don't understand their cultural framework and perspective, so they feel isolated. You ask them a certain question, it doesn't feel right to them, so then I'm shut down. So what the strategies are is, number one, for teachers to recognize that you got to have an inclusive environment that gives voice to every culture. But then as a person and an individual, the strategy is when you get that hijack, and that's everybody for flight or fright, take 8 to 10 seconds, breathe it out, and don't react immediately. And the cortisol gets a chance to move through your body without you having an emotional
Without
reaction.
hijacking the
And your intellect can kick in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I remember my stepfather told me, he was a former law enforcement person. He said, when you have a gun in your home, right, you always make it so that you have to take 2 actions to be able to use it.
Yeah.
That's about that 8 seconds. I got to get it, I got to get the key, I got to unlock. Because now you in intellect mode.
Right.
As opposed to your emotion. And so, but I hope in a situation where I'm protecting, you get chosen for that, you really don't know
That's right.
how you gonna react. You can only pray that, and you know what? I think the biggest sign of how you react might be the commitment you have to the belief system that you have and value of life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the love, the deep love, but
Right.
but that support there's some micro levels of it too, because now let's take it back. We talking about prison stuff and crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Let's take it back down to the parent that knows her child is stealing and doesn't say anything or gets approached or asked about it by some authorities and she covers up for them. That's the type of daily stuff we dealing with on a micro level that's not as drastic as what we've been talking about.
Correct.
I think, it, like the old folks used to say, it started at home. It started at home. It's going to be consequences at the house. You know what I mean? So the consequences in the standards that we set at home is higher than the standards the society's going to offer you, you know? And like what you talk about before, we talk about, all I give you is my name. You know what I mean? And this name carries some weight, and you need to carry that with some respect and dignity and how you carry yourself. And your father gave it to you, and you gave it to him, right? So that's always going to carry more weight than society, and you're going to have consequences from an infant to a toddler to a preteen to a teen. And so hopefully once you respond to that, the rest of it is easy. You know what I mean? You're going to deal with challenges, but we're going to be accountable for our behaviors. We're going to know there's consequences to our actions, and we're going to be able to handle those things.
Do parents, I think, I'm going to ask y'all the question, I'm going to make a statement. I think parents can't accept the failure and mistakes of their children in a mature way, so they end up compromising their principles. And it's embarrassing to them.
That's
agree with that.
very accurate. That's
Yeah.
probably accurate.
I do.
The bottom line is they feel like it's a reflection of them. And to some degree,
It
is.
It
Sometimes
is.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
to some degree, it is.
Most of the times it is.
Yeah, oftentimes, but we always hoping that, I used to always tell the fellas that if you grow up to be president of the United States or cure cancer or whatever, make some amazing accomplishment, that I'm not going to take too much credit. And if you grow up to rob banks, I'm not taking too much blame.
All right. Sound good.
You
I
know,
don't believe you, though.
It really.
That's
it
my
really-
boy, the president.
It really is true, because when you grow up in certain family, just think about it. We all got family members, and they engage in certain behavior, or we, might set of circumstances. I won't never ashamed of anybody in my family, no matter what was going on or what they did, because I believe that their actions were them, and it ain't had nothing to do with me. So just as I thought that about, other family members, I'm going to feel like that about my sons, but I do know that it does have an impact on our, but I can't carry that burden. Dog, it ain't no different than, and we all know this true. You sitting at home, you watching the news, and you see some crime committed, and all the black people thinking, please don't let him be
Right.
black.
Oh my gosh. Yes, sir.
We carry that.
And
We
then
carry
they
that.
turn the camera around
And it juju.
and they ask somebody a question. Not only that.
I used to
why
carry
did they
that.
ask him the question?
Yeah, I used to carry that.
That's
Yeah.
my point. Like, we shouldn't carry that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We shouldn't carry that.
Yeah.
But
We have at times, when we come to a better understanding,
it wasn't a hard conviction.
How do you not carry that anymore?
I was about to say,
Chill.
why shouldn't we carry? What do you mean we shouldn't carry that? What do you mean by that?
I mean, first of all, I live in a big city,
out.
and you just get numb to a whole lot of stuff, and that's just for me personally. So I mean, I ain't carrying that. Just like, they got to be responsible for their actions, and that's not a reflection of me.
But I think it might be different to Talik a little bit too, because he lives in a majority black city.
Yeah.
So most of the crime you see is black and brown.
Oh,
I'm just-
what they show?
yeah, I mean, right.
Yeah,
They-
yeah.
so you every day is like, okay,
It's like, you don't even think of color. You just
Street crime.
Yeah.
though,
It's
not
But
the
when
big
you say
corporate
carry,
criminals.
what were you gonna say? Why?
I was gonna say one of the reasons we carry it is because we know it contributes to the stereotyping of our people. And because it contributes to the stereotyping of our people, we understand that there come consequences with those stereotypes. But what we have to do is understand that the people who will latch on to those stereotypes and carry them and use them to try to impact us negatively, they're gonna do it regardless. They're gonna do it regardless. If they wanna get on there, and you could just look at a message board. When something happened, black people running up in the jewelry store, you immediately know if you go to the comments,
One of the most
it's gonna be a
racist
bunch
spots
of
ever.
racists
Yeah.
coming in there.
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to feed off of that and play into that. See, those people who gonna use those stereotypes in that manner, there's nothing you gonna be able to do to convince them anyway.
I got a question.
Well,
right,
hold on, because I get that in the sense, and to me, it seems like it's like a cop out and like a giving up with regards to at least trying to instill or at least get our people on in the same mind of looking at that as you're shaming us as a community in a sense. You know what I mean? I think I mentioned this in one of our other episodes. Whereas back in the day, that's how we were as a community. Whereas, not only did you disrespect and sully the family name, but you have us looking crazy as a people. That white man is, you know what I mean? Or how we be probably where some of the stereotypes began to develop
Yeah.
or were created and so on and so forth, which I think probably was a fear of our people or what have you. But to me, I think it needs to become, we need to be brought back to that, whereas there's a certain pride that we need to have as a people, whereas we shouldn't want to look that way. You know what I mean? And
I agree.
Yeah, when you have standards, you're gonna have a certain amount of shame,
right.
because that's what's gonna keep you in shape. You know what I mean? In line.
Or I think even in standards, it's almost like it's more so. Have you killed your self-accusing spirit?
Come on.
Right? The spirit of you to convict you.
But-
Have you silenced it to the point and acquiesced your standards to the point where it's just you suppress
Are
it?
you born with that self-accusatory
By
spirit?
nature, by nature we
it's
have
in
it.
nature. Oh,
Yes,
it's not
sir.
instilled in you. Okay.
Not by nature we have it.
Gotcha.
I think we do, because you know what the example of that the minister gave? He was like a little
girl.
a child came
Right.
to the messenger.
right. Yes, sir.
And said she had done something or had
She either made
he
sex.
said did something. He said,
And
well,
she-
where did she do it? She did it in the dark.
Right.
But so she knew innately that it wasn't supposed to be something that was done. And even when you see a child go learn how to boo-boo and all that, they go hide around the corner. It's just something innate in us that say, this is something where I'm supposed to be like by myself, or so
Right.
or nobody's supposed to see me. So I do think it's innate, and I do think we can also
Can
teach
you,
on
can,
it and-
yeah,
and
can you
develop it.
can you grow that, develop
Listen,
it?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Or-
Absolutely.
or
This is
can
my
you
question.
squash
I
it in
think you
somebody?
can.
Okay.
The question I was going to ask was this. It's related to that. Do you think that this over dependence or do you think the shame we've been talking about fuels the unwarranted support? Because I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed, so I'm going to help you hide it and get out of it.
Yeah.
So we both can look better.
Absolutely.
And therein lies the compromising of the principles that sentences the child to about 20 more years of learning the importance of universal law and karma.
Well, that's kind of opposite of the original scenario,
It
though.
is,
You know what I mean?
but
Of the,
I-
no, I'm saying
what
of
I
the
was
original
getting at
scenario,
is I'm trying
because
to figure out what
Mama
the-
was ready to sacrifice herself for the child and take the rap, take the hit. You know what I'm saying? From the scenario you said,
Yeah, that was a, that's
in
right.
the beginning.
Yeah, that was a drastic one, but she's still like. I guess I'm getting at though is why is the why. What's
Because
fueling
I think-
our? Why are we doing that? Is it because of the shame? Is it because we just love them so much we don't want to see them hurt? What is you like?
I think we all have to answer this question throughout our lives with our kids, with our spouses, or whoever, family members, even in the community. And that is it better to have moral conflict or unprincipled peace? We have to answer that question.
Is it?
You know,
Is
take water, come with
unprincipled peace?
Well,
Is that? Somehow I'm feeling like that's an oxymoron.
Where you hear that one from?
It's unprincipled peace. There's a violation that's taking place, a violation of law, ethics, morality, whatever it is. And because I want peace, I don't address the violation.
Well,
Let's
are
just
you
us
really at
continue-
peace though?
No, peace on the outside.
Okay.
And that's why I say moral conflict.
Okay.
Because if I address the morality and the violation of the morality here, there's going to be some conflict here.
Yeah.
You know, and what we all know is that my father-in-law was in World War II, and he used to always say to me, son, you can't have peace without having war first.
Mm-hmm.
He said that go for countries, that go for spouses.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you got to have war before you can have peace.
Yeah.
Because we got to hash out some guidelines and some standards, and we got to establish that. And so sometimes it's a whole lot of people that are in marriages. So we can
We
talk
don't want
about
the
it with
war.
our kids.
We don't want the war.
Right, and we don't want to smoke with our kids.
You avoid it and
Hey,
it's something
talk
road.
about it.
Yeah.
How about this? How about parents don't want their child to be mad at them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's happening though.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's right. We
Oh,
don't
my
want to smoke
goodness.
with them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I think that leads to also, well, this kind of touches on what I think is an error as it relates to the subject matter, whereas being too protective early on and sheltering them and not allowing them to be exposed to certain things which cripples them long term,
Yeah.
whereas then it's a shock, to them and can ruin them later on because they were so shielded and protected and kept from, allowing, certain consequences and that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
You know what the metaphor is?
As what's that?
You keeping a pacifier in their mouth.
Baby.
Right.
And that's what they rely on.
And,
then when the
and
pacifier
see,
gone,
then what made me think about it is that's part of when they say, "Oh, well, I don't want my child to get angry with me because, I won't let be." It's
And-
just
and I
why do you
think
want your
that
child
it's
to like
absurd
that
to happen
piece
nowadays.
of it is where Chill is talking about when he say, "Don't be friends with your kids." That's what he talking about.
is, yeah.
That moment and that piece of it, that's because you trying to be friends with your kids when you do that, and when you don't do what you know you're supposed to do because you don't want them to be angry with you. And so that's where the concept of don't be trying to be friends with your kids come from, because now you're going to let them get away with some stuff because
Right.
you don't want to address it.
Have them
you don't wanna have the
disrespecting you,
conflicts with
disrespecting
them.
other adults.
Exactly.
But see, and I'm
All
gonna take
kinds
that
of
back to
mess.
what's your moral compass in the first place? Because I'm y'all friend, but y'all ain't violating my ethics.
Right.
I'm not gonna let y'all do that. I mean, I love you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you're
But-
willing to have the moral conflict.
I'm really had a war.
When they violating your ethics, it's gonna be conflict.
Yeah.
Principle,
peace.
Unprincipled
Unprincipled
peace.
peace.
right.
Unprincipled peace.
Principle conflict over unprincipled
No,
peace.
But what was
Let
key?
well enough alone.
What's key?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
he? What,
How many times we done heard old women say, "Yeah, I know old Bobby Earl got a woman across town, but he better not bring it to my house. Don't keep it out my face. Don't bring that to my
that's the
front door."
unprincipled piece you talking about?
That's the unprincipled piece I'm
And don't
talking
embarrass
about.
me.
Yeah, that's
Did old girl in
unprincipled.
fences? Did old girl in fences
You
know
talking
that?
about good woman now? You know, that ain't no, they don't make them like they used to. Type of woman. What are you saying?
You don't sound like an old head.
That's a good woman, ain't it?
Bobby Earl, a good man there.
She married for 50 years, won't she? These young girls, they were married 18 months.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
He said, you talking about a good woman now.
Is it touching?
I mean, you know,
Talk
it's
about
funny.
Bobby Earl like that.
That's a good one.
Oh, my
Yeah.
But there's so many layers. We gotta have an episode of that because there's layers and layers on that, right?
The Boys to Men podcast, or B2M podcast, is about 5 guys who've been friends for over 40 years. Between the 5 of us, we've been married for over 100 combined years. Between the 5 of us, we have 13 children, 12 sons. We discuss in our podcast about our journeys into fatherhood and how we raised our sons to be fine young men. From 6-figure earners at LinkedIn to a professional Call of Duty player. College educated entrepreneurs, that's who we are. Our podcast is not a how to do it podcast. It is a podcast about how we did it. Come check us out. Yeah.
But the point is, in terms of the support, so the unprincipled piece. But this is the thing. The whole point is, with unprincipled piece, you're putting your character on the line by engaging in unprincipled peace.
Yeah.
Right? With the other support, you're
It's
putting
revealing your character.
Huh?
It's revealing some of your
It's
character.
revealing your character it's revealing it, and you're literally violating policies, violating procedures, violating ethics, sometimes violating the law. And that's you know what I'm saying? So in that way, you're really not getting no peace. You're really exposing yourself
And
to
just,
getting in trouble, getting,
Exactly.
whatever going on.
Yeah.
and just like over time, it's going to accumulate, right?
Yeah.
Unprincipled piece, you sweeping it under the rug. If I
It's
sweep it
still
under the
there.
rug one time, you're not going to notice it. But I keep sweeping under the rug, guess what? You're going to get a hump in that rug.
Yeah.
And you're going to trip over it one day.
Yeah. Right.
You're going to trip over it.
But
That's
look,
right.
I
it-
think-
it-
law
let me
or
ask
what
you-
have
go
you,
ahead.
it's
I
coming
think one thing, if you're not parenting along and you going with the flow, there's gonna be a situation where, and I've seen it numerous times when now when they in trouble with the law, now you hiding them. You know, you know what I mean? And the law, they not here, and then can we come and look at your house?
No.
You know, and then they catch them falling out the ceiling. Or
And
something.
then you got to charge.
Yeah. So that's the type of stuff when you don't handle it at the time, it can grow to those situations.
Y'all remember that last episode when I said it ain't, and we've said it, all of us have said it ain't our child, it's God's child?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That go for that rebellion too.
Yeah.
If I'm living according to how I believe God want me to live, and it ain't working with you, then God is telling me he got you. And you might have to go through some stuff till he take you to a place that he wants you to come and get that support back from me. You see what I'm saying? 'Cause I
Right.
know he don't want me to go against or violate the law I'm trying to live under. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so
Those are some of the signals you got to be able to read and
you gotta
You
be
know,
able
I
to fake the
remember-
pain.
My son Darius just recently went through, a breakup. It was a year ago now. And
That's on. It seemed like longer than that.
yeah, it was a year.
A
It
year
was more than a year. It was July of last year.
Yes.
And we were having a conversation about this not too long ago. And I was having a conversation. I was like, man, one of the things you need to ask yourself is, why is it that you did not recognize some of these smaller things as becoming problematic later on down the road? Like John said, you sweep them under the rug and you overlook them. Eventually, you're gonna trip over them. And as we talking about it, and I'm naming, like, remember this? Remember when this happened? Remember when this happened? Remember when this happened? And then he says to me, why you didn't tell me all that? That's what he says. And I said to him, we discussed it, but I never put it to you in a way to make you think I wanted you to leave this young lady. I said, because I knew you wasn't gonna listen. You know what I mean? And so as he did not, listen or take heed to that, and what's interesting? When I think back on it, I even mentioned it to him. I literally sat them both down on the couch and said, this is gonna be problematic later on in you guys' relationship. Prepare for it and get ready for it. and they didn't.
Did you give them a solution?
Oh yeah, I did. I
Okay.
did. And
What,
what,
what if one was
And
saying
they ignored it.
you put that negative out there?
what if they say I put the negative out there?
Yeah, like you spoke that into existence. Like you should have never said it and it never would have happened.
I don't.
No, I think he was
I think-
identifying something that had already occurred, if I'm
No,
not mistaken.
I understand, but I'm just
No,
saying.
I hate to leave. I'm not agreeing. I don't think that's a good. I know Joaquin
That's
was doing
not-
it, but
yeah,
he's-
that's not-
That's a valid thing. It's like, why are you being? That's a valid thing for Darius to say. Why are you
That's
sowing negativity
That's
into
the
our
kind
relationship?
That's the comment that come from people that ain't gonna listen to you.
Yeah.
That's the comment
No,
that come
I
from.
wanted to be
You know what I
addressed. That's
mean?
why I
and
asked
so,
it. Yeah.
and so, and what I would say to him was, I'm not putting negativity out there. I'm just identifying some patterns here that I don't think you're recognizing. I've been 27. You haven't been 52. Okay? So I recognize it ain't no different than if I say, hey man, don't walk down that street because there's 4 pit bulls down there. Now if you go anyway, you know, you get
So,
what's
so
coming.
this was you allowing the process to unfold.
That's
Gave
my
you a
point.
little
You know what?
warning.
I said
I'ma
to
let
him,
you, it's
yeah,
hot.
and so I
if you
said-
keep going this route, you may get burned. So let's
Hey.
make some
and we
adjustments.
talked about it and I was like, you know, this is what, and I even shared it with both of them. And I don't think they took it with the level of seriousness that it needed to be taken with, and that's how they ended up, you know, broken up because they didn't deal with what I shared with them.
Which was the conflict, a tough, right?
Exactly, because you know, I told Darius, I was like, man, the same thing that make you great, your intelligence, is also the same thing that's your
Your
kryptonite,
downfall.
that's your downfall. You
Wow.
can rationalize and explain anything. And so when you want to do what you want to do, I already know you're going to find a way to rationalize and explain it. And so now I have to watch you suffer the consequences of not dealing with that situation properly.
Was that tough for you?
No, it wasn't tough for me at all. It was tough for my wife,
Let me-
though.
let me
but
take-
it wasn't tough for me.
Let me take y'all down on a
Because
a
I know
level,
it's coming.
Let me
Right.
take y'all on a level that's a good.
and
I
you
think
was
that's
willing to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Right. To
Even
that
as
level.
far as it has gone.
But
I knew that was predictable.
hey, look, this is a question I'm gonna ask. So just imagine you got a 6th grade, say a 7th grade child, son or daughter, if your first guy, and they come home and tell you somebody picking on them and want to fight them, and they've been telling you this for about a week. You told them all the stuff, but just ignore them. You did all that, right? The support is support. This is what I'm getting at. This is related to what you just said too. The support look like the parent intervening and going to the school and getting the other child in trouble, and then they do the peer mediation and all that stuff, and then everybody call your child a punk and all this playing.
Yeah.
Or you said patterns. I'm gonna call it the math.
Yeah.
Well, I would have told my child.
Islam is math. Life is mathematics.
Yeah.
Right? The math is this action plus this behavior plus this factor equals this plane. I see it. Not only do I see it, and you think it's just because I say you 27 and I've been 27, but I went through it, and guess what? I saw about 9/11 other people go through it. So it ain't just
9/11.
Dad's opinion, right? So,
Absolutely.
so when I tell you this, then I'm telling you that I know the math, and the math is universal. It's gonna happen, right? And so if you do bucket, you do as a parent have to release yourself from the pain. I mean, from that, you know, dealing with supporting them overly. In the situation about the child, the math is, I'm not going to me it's over support for me to go to the school, right? Because down the road, this gonna happen again. At some point, we're gonna have to figure out with who you are, how you gonna stand up and deal with this. And so for me, to rescue you by going to the school is not a good idea when I can nip it in the bud right now and make you face your fear, and then we good, and now you have in your mind for the rest of your life that that's what I do in those situations.
So you
Yeah.
have to properly equip
So-
your
so-
son
so-
or daughter to deal with different
And to go take the
scenarios.
charge at
and
school.
Right.
You got to
right.
take the charge. You got to take the
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
And I'm cool with it. They gave you 3. All right.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but
Yeah.
but to me, the overly support would be to not make them feel the pain.
Right. And which is
in a
a
scenario
part
like
of that over shielding and over
Yeah.
protection and such.
And in his situation, he was telling Derek, I know the math. I seen the math. You rejecting the math.
We
Yeah.
want them
You
to
know?
allow enough pain to where they hurt and learn that lesson, but not so much pain where they get destroyed.
Right.
That's the balance in it, right?
Facts.
I think so.
What you mean by destroy? You mean that's broken?
We
Yeah.
like
We know dead. We know dead.
yeah,
but,
yeah.
But what you mean,
like again, he said last episode, don't bring 1990 solutions in 2023, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the bully thing, we can't sometimes fathom a child being bullied on the phone. You know what I mean? And that what they deal with today. We like, what? How you deal with that? But if you're dealing with a bully, fight the bully. You know what I mean? Stand up
Yeah.
for yourself. But we coming from a time where it's one-on-one fights. You win, you lose, get your respect. You're gonna be good, right? But now it might lead to a whole nother situation. You might
Yeah.
get jumped.
That's
You
true.
might get cut. You might
Yeah,
get really
that's-
hurt. So therein lies, it's, hey, you get in a little schoolyard scuffle, you good. You win, lose, you get your respect. You keep it moving.
But what happens
that's-
when you, so if you take my situation up to 17,
Right,
asking me, now what would you say?
right. Can you beat him, son? You got it? Is it one-on-one? You got some backup?
No, let's
Who
get.
you with?
No, look now. This is me with the 7th grader. Ain't no peer mediation, none of that. With the 11th grade and all, 17-year-old and deaf on the line and all that environment, I'm thinking, hey, y'all think y'all can get the families together?
right.
So yeah, that's a
Think his
that's,
parents
man.
reasonable?
which points out it's a thin line between what we talking about in terms of what, But I just got to draw the line on my morality, though. I guess
You really have to assess what the real consequences are. I remember one time, and it was something simple. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area around here, the Rock Quarry. Where like when teenagers in high school, they go swimming in this rock quarry.
down there,
and it's-
Monticello Avenue.
Yeah,
somewhere?
and it's
So
and it's super.
It's one down there too.
Yeah, it's super dangerous because over the years, I'm aware of jokers jumping in that quarry and never resurfacing again.
Dang.
And so I remember the subject in the house came up one day, and Carl was like, "Oh yeah, we going to the quarry." I'm like, "Wait a minute, y'all going where?" He was like, "We going swimming." I said, "Whoa." I was like, I said, I know y'all had a good time,
This is a cultural thing.
Yeah, no, but he said to me, he was like, "I've been before." I said, "Well, I didn't know you had been before, but let me give you some history on where you going swimming. There have been numerous bodies that have disappeared in this swimming hole, and you probably shouldn't go there. And that's not something that me and Mom willing to. All right, I told you don't go. You know what I mean? That's not
Yeah.
something we can take that on.
Right,
Right.
You know what I mean?
right.
So I am seriously asking you to not go there and not do that. And that's based on the math.
asked him or
the
told him?
history. I asked him. I
He
still
asked.
Man,
asked him.
parent the child you
How
got.
old
not
was
the
he?
child-
But he was probably 17.
You asked a 17-year-old?
Yeah. He was
What if
probably
he had
about
said
17.
nah?
I would have went harder. I would have went harder.
He wasn't gonna go.
Was you asking as a courtesy, and then you ask again and be like, all right, you know what? You ain't even mature enough. I'm asking now, I'm making you stay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
yeah,
that's how
it would
it
have got to that.
Okay.
But I'm hoping it didn't.
I got you.
So what did-
That's a
what-
good-
what- so
in
what
that
did he
way,
do?
that was a good strategy.
So
yeah.
what did he do?
He didn't go. I mean, we had another situation where it was kind of the same thing. Darius was gonna go to a party, right? Mm-hmm. Down in the country. We all got our history with country parties.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
understand you can lose your life down there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I told him, I said, "Listen, son." I said, "Where the party at?" And he was like, "It's in Orange." I said, "Look," I said, "I'm not going to tell you to go based on my history, okay? But let me tell you this story about what happened, all right?" And then I said to him, "I don't want you to go, but like I've always told you, I'm never going to say do something just because I said so. So I'm asking you not to go to this party."
Okay. Okay.
And he didn't go.
Okay.
Turns out, big fight, all, break loose. Somebody drive a car through the crowd, hit people and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's court dates and all kinds of chaos. And that right there gave me so much credibility.
Oh yeah, you walked around with your smoking jacket on.
Yeah. You know?
Morning. Oh, look at the news.
Yeah.
Lucky you're here,
Hey,
son.
look, man, you don't want about the city parties?
Huh?
You ain't gonna talk about the country.
You funny
like
because I was
that.
about to say something.
Oh, no, I ain't want him about the city party. He was all right in the city. Hey, in the city,
They
he
can
knew those
shoot in
people.
the country. Well,
Yeah,
In the
you're right.
suburbs, he knew those people.
It been
When city boys come down the country, take their girls, it's beef. It's just beef.
Automatically.
It's just beef,
I
man.
had
And you
to-
gotta know the math tells me it's gonna be beef.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
Wow.
was you embarking? So you didn't embark your fears on him, even though you was.
I didn't. That was not a situation where I was like, "Don't go," because even in that situation, I felt like if something was brewing, I felt like he had enough skill to stay away. You know what I mean? Avoid the conflict or whatever. In Kari's situation, you cannot predict, or you have nothing to do with jumping in that water and not coming up.
Carr
You know
had
what I mean?
already did a double somersault with a twist.
He had already done it, dog. He was about
And
to
you
go
going
again.
over there with them people?
Oh,
You gonna be the one that don't come back.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so
It's
in his
cars and that whole-
situation, there's
everything.
nothing we could do.
No one in, and
There's nothing he could do to prevent what may happen to him. But in Darius' situation, I felt like he would have a little bit of control over avoiding conflict and being safe.
Let me ask you a question about that. So do you think when you put your foot down, and when I say put your foot down, you put your foot down and you made a respectful request that was pretty much going to be honored because of
The relationship.
who you are and,
Yeah.
and the sincerity of your request.
Exactly.
Is that the example of maintaining the morality, and your deference or not saying anything is the example of too much support?
Ask me that again.
All right. So what I'm saying is, like, the
'Cause
example
I was
you
thinking something, then you went
I
somewhere.
got you. So the example of what you did, is that the example of what we want model? And then if you had not said anything because you just wanted him to go have fun and you didn't want to disappoint him, that would be the example of you providing too much support.
Absolutely.
But not by what you did, but by what you didn't do.
Didn't do. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So when we
I agree with
quiet,
that.
like it's like Dr. King said, it's like the sin of the silence.
The silence of our friend.
Yeah.
The silence
So-
of our parents.
So we think sometimes, I don't want people to leave here thinking, oh, I can do too much by taking actions. You can do too much by inacting.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
My Uncle Ed always liked to say, you don't let 5-year-olds make decisions. Because if you do, you'll get a 5-year-old decision. What do you expect? It's a
Yeah.
5-year-old making a decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, in order to be able to have a conversation where you get your kids not to, or you get them to kind of follow your lead and your suggestion, I constantly always believe it's so important to maintain your moral authority with your children. Authority by title is one thing, okay? Authority, I'm your daddy, you do what I say. That's title authority. I have watched my father demonstrate in a way that I still respect his authority by his actions. That's what keeps him from jumping out the window trying to do it and get away with something. See, authority by title, they try to sneak out the back door and do what they want to do. When you've maintained your moral authority, they respect who you are, respect what you represent, and now that allows them to maybe acquiesce to your request as a parent.
Authority by title is a detached relationship.
Absolutely.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Right.
1,000%.
And I had mentioned in a previous episode, I was talking about how God, I was in Baltimore teaching. So the finish that story was, I was telling these students that coming from the most abject situations, in Murphy Homes in Baltimore City, Whitelock Street. Anybody that know these areas, Park Heights, know that these are beefing communities all in this one school across from Mondawmin Mall, which is where you saw the CVS being burned after the Freddie Gray stuff going on. The school right across the street.
Okay.
Right? I said, man, listen, you got a bunch of. First of all, I had learned in FOR class that you treat your people properly, right?
Right, proper
And
handling
as
of
a
people,
human
yes,
from
sir.
day one. So I knew that I couldn't, like, I'm 20, first of all. I'm 22. These jokers at 19. So they not
Some
about
of
to
them
be
22.
respecting me because of my title
Right.
as the teacher. So I had to think about it. I said, you know what? I'm going to respect you as a human because I'm a human. And I want you to respect me as a human because I'm a human. We're going to have that exchange. I said, and now, because we're human, I said, so the teacher-student relationship, that's the business of what we got going on. That's just who we are in this classroom, right? I said,
Absolutely.
but I promise you, if you respect me as a human being, I promise to always respect you, right? And I will give you this. If you get upset with me and you think I wronged you, you can tell me in any way you want to tell me, but you can't do it in here in front of this class.
Yeah.
You can ask to see me and we can go talk about it. Because if you do that, then back to what this room is, I got to manage that. And that means I got to do something to remove you or get you dealt with. But as long as me and you got a relationship through our disagreements, I can work with you being upset and getting out of pocket every now and then.
Yeah.
With, you know.
Absolutely.
I ain't never get disrespected.
That's super love.
You-
I
you
like,
see
I
that?
like that
Yeah.
approach.
How you understand that as at a 22 year?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
FOI.
FOI class.
FOI.
FOI.
All
That
day
was
long.
in FOI class. Proper handling of the people. Love your people more than they hate themselves.
Come on.
We all got that training.
That's the
Say it
bottom
again.
line. Love your people more than they hate themselves. You got to love your people more than I cannot take credit for Messenger Muhammad's.
Yes, sir. That's right,
But
brother.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
real though, man. So that support that we give and parents just being mindful, man. God didn't put us here to go to jail for our children. and in the long run, we just got to understand that you are not building their survival muscles by rescuing them in situations where they're going to experience a little bit of discomfort. You're not only thing you're doing is delaying the discomfort, and it's going to hurt them that much more because they never felt it when it comes. That's just the bottom line.
And another thing I like to say, because a lot of times now, this generation, not as a whole, but I'm hearing a lot of it, and it's kind of disturbing that you got parents who going with their kids on interviews now, which
That's a fact.
That's a real thing.
It's a fact.
You got parents that spend paying all our children's bills and stuff like that.
Helicopter parents.
And I think some of this stems from overly compensating, being
Yeah.
our friend,
Mm-hmm.
and not addressing some of these same issues. And now you got this. Not only that, but these adults, they were children at one point, but now they married, and you still paying all the bills over there.
Yeah.
Y'all need to live
Hey,
somewhere else cheaper.
I didn't listen.
Hey, in this world, right, and I don't know who said it, pain is unavoidable, right? And so it's
You
just
just
what's
said it.
pain,
I'm not-
yeah, pain is unavoidable.
Chill.
And so when you try to avoid pain, it's not going to work. So you got to choose the pain. It's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And so you're going to have to, when you talk about people don't want to discipline their children, right? And because it's going to hurt them, the pain of discipline, or you're going to have the pain of regret. So
Right,
let's deal
either
with
way,
that
it's,
discipline.
Man.
it can be painful.
Can you say that one more time, brother? Please. The
Yeah.
pain. Just that's
Yes, sir. You're gonna have to pick it. Pain is unavoidable, but you have to pick the pain of discipline or the pain of regret later on when someone is not disciplined and making mistakes.
And as a 52-year-old African American man, I can tell you from my life perspective, the pain of regret is far worse.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Every time.
It's far worse.
Every time.
Because that pain in the moment, okay, I got it, I'm getting over it, but I can't get it back.
Eat at you.
haunt you.
Because the
Eat at you.
pain of regret is because you finally have an understanding of time lost, and time is our most valuable asset. And that's why. That's
you can't
why.
buy no coins.
Right. We
extend your
understand.
life.
We
Right.
inherently understand just how valuable time is. And everybody has probably heard this before.
Yeah.
But you know, if I say, hey, John, I'm gonna give you $10 billion tonight. All right? $10 billion. All right? But you're gonna die tomorrow morning and you can't leave it to nobody. Would you take it?
Right. Obviously, no.
Obviously no, which tells you just how valuable time is. That tells you exactly how valuable time is. So the pain of regret is tied to your understanding of your loss of time. That's why that's so important. And we can't continue to cut the cocoons of, you know, my Uncle Tommy used to tell me this story. It came from somebody.
Shout out to Uncle T.
I don't know.
Yes, sir.
I don't know where the story came from. I got it from him. Okay? But it's about the man that absolutely loved butterflies. He absolutely loved butterflies. And one day he was walking past and he saw the cocoon, the caterpillar. And he's seeing him struggle trying to get out of the cocoon. And he loved butterflies so much that he was like, let me just help the butterfly get out of this cocoon. Let me just cut it a little bit. And when he cuts open the cocoon, the butterfly falls to the ground to be devoured by creatures. And he gets devoured. Why? The butterfly looks up and says to the man, why would you do that? And he said, I love you so much, I hated seeing you struggle. He said, but you deprived me of strengthening my wings to fly. You deprived me of what I needed to strengthen myself so I could fly out into this
On my
world
own.
and do what a butterfly does.
Wow.
We can't, as parents, continue to cut the cocoons of our children that are butterflies because we deprive them of the struggle that they need to be great.
That struggle's building that strength.
It's the
Absolutely.
B2M crew.
Exactly.
Podcast at the Code Building in Charlottesville, Virginia, chopping it up about what we need to do to hold our children accountable and support them, but not cut that cocoon. Joaquin, you got something to take us out with?
Absolutely, man. In the words of the great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men.
Hey.
Peace.
Subscribe.
It-
Thank
I'm winning. I'ma show 'em how true and independent get it. Whole game changed by the time I'm finished with it. We about to get this business handled in a minute. And I won't stop until I'm winning. They don't want me in the office 'cause